This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not dispense medical advice. Always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified health providers if you have any questions regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking such advice because of something you have heard on this podcast. Welcome to a show that we like to call Prostate Cancer Real Talk. Did you know that in the U.S., 1 out of every 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer during his lifetime? 1 out of 8. And Black men are 50% more likely to develop prostate cancer in their lifetime and twice as likely to die from the disease. But hey, we're not here to quote statistics and tell you how tough prostate cancer can be. Rather, we are here to create a supportive community of survivors. A place where we can discuss the real-life coping methods from the perspective of a married couple who are living through it day by day. Our hosts, Elle and Shay. This is Prostate Cancer Real Talk. In this episode, a pastor and his wife discuss prostate cancer and intimacy. We welcome Pastor Ray A. McQueen and his wife Sharon, who are the founders and co-pastors of Family Life Church, which has 2 campuses in Lynchburg and Roanoke, Virginia. In 1997, he obeyed the voice of God to start the ministry after serving in the United States Air Force for 10 years. Pastor Ray and Elle met via this podcast over 2 years ago and have kept in touch ever since. Pastor Ray's strong spiritual foundation, positive spirit, and willingness to be open and honest about his prostate cancer journey was inspiring, leading Elle to invite he and his wife Sharon to share their powerful and inspiring story with our listeners. Elle and Shay, take it away.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, Dennis. And I'm here with my wife, Shay, and we're so pleased to welcome pastors, plural, Ray and Sharon McQueens. So, Shay.
Hello, Elle. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful.
Yay. Hi, Ray. Hi, Sharon. How are you guys?
Hello. We're great. How y'all doing?
Good. So we're so happy to have another couple to have this discussion with.
We're glad to be here. We really are.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Yeah. So, one of the things that we focus on here is the whole experience of the prostate cancer journey. And along those lines, we thought it was important to bring in a couple that has a spiritual foundation. I know that many times when people go through difficulties and trials, it can be very difficult. So, we thought that in the vein of the whole person, we would bring in the McQueens to talk about their journey and their relationship and how this journey has affected them.
My journey has been very positive, even though it was a negative. Of course, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in July of 2020. I was experiencing some things like the end of 2019 within my body. And I kind of knew my body because I normally get checkups yearly. I'm always making sure that of course, I'm in the gym a lot, but I just didn't feel right. And I kept sharing with my wife. I said, I don't feel the same. I don't feel right. So we went and got checked, I think like in February of 2020. And then they did a biopsy in July of 2020. And when the biopsy came back within I think it was a week. And then, got the biopsy back, and my wife and I were in the doctor's office, and he had always been juvenile with us, of course. But then when he came in that particular day, my wife kind of noticed his expression. And so I don't want to get emotional about it, but his expression was like, we knew something was up. And so we were sitting down, that he sat down and said, okay, Ray and Sharon, and I love how, because she would go with me to all of my appointments. And so like, Ray and Sharon, you guys, we did find the biopsy, and it is positive, and it's an aggressive cancer, prostate cancer, and we need to take care of this. And so I was shocked, and we both looked at each other like, cancer? Prostate cancer? Like, of course, I have 4 brothers, including myself, which is 5 brothers. Also, my father, all of them had prostate cancer. And neither one of them passed away from prostate cancer. They lived healthy and quality lives after they were diagnosed and had the surgery. And so, but my doctor was like, normally it skips a family member. but it has not skipped. Your whole family has gone through this. And so he said to me, he said, your brothers probably could tell you more better than I can about prostate cancer. And so moving forward, we had the surgery in October 2020. And then when we had the surgery, then of course, all the things that comes along with it, with the recovery. And of course, Sharon stood by my side like tooth and nail. Of course, we've always been supportive of one another, but she was very supportive of this. What we were all both going through, because it affected not only me, but also affected her as well. We were very sexually active, of course, prior to prostate cancer. But yeah, so we went through that journey. And then during the recovery, I think was my greatest challenge, because I was kind of feeling sorry for myself, and she wouldn't let me do that. I didn't want to get out the bed. I didn't want to preach. I didn't want to go to church. I was like, but Pat Sharon was like, okay, honey, you're going to have to get up. You got to do this, and all the things they were giving me to do. Of course, she encouraged me through this whole process. And so I was off for a couple of weeks. I thought I was going to try to milk it. Like, hey, let's just don't do anything for 6 months.
It started getting good to you.
Right, it did, right? It did. And so she got me out, but in 3 weeks, I'm preaching again. So I was like, okay. But yeah, she helped me take my walks. She made sure that I was up and about, that I did not lay around. And I think that helped out tremendously on taking my walks and things of that nature.
The Promise Registry is an exciting new partner of Prostate Cancer Real Talk. Promise is a registry of prostate cancer patients who want to learn how their genetics can affect their treatment options. To learn more, visit prostatecancerpromise.org.
So let me ask you this. So did you, by your brothers having prostate cancer, did you get a lot of information from them, or did you, and you kind of knew what to expect? Because in our case, we were like blindsided. We were like hit like a Mack truck. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We didn't really know what to expect. And I was just like, whoa, like, with the, coming home with the catheter, we read before we went in that he was going to get one, but I was just thinking it was just in the hospital. And once after the surgery, once he's discharged, it's coming out. And the guy came in and he's showing him how to empty it. And I'm like, but what are you doing? What's going on here? And he's like, you're going home with this. I just, so tell me, so did you feel prepared before your surgery in terms of what to anticipate?
Oh my goodness. I did feel prepared, because that day, matter of fact, that day I called my brothers that day. I'm the youngest of all my brothers. And so they were able to pretty much coach me through it, what to expect. The catheter, all those different things as well. They were there. They was just coaching me through the whole process, coaching my wife and I, because my wife had an opportunity to talk to their wives, their wife in particular. One of my brothers, we were very close, and she was able to talk to the wife about certain things as well. So they really was a big help, because one time it was like my abdomen had just swelled up really huge, and I was so concerned. And my brothers had already told me ahead of time. They said, you're going to probably experience that as well, but it's going to go down the next day. And it absolutely went down the next day. And so I had bruising. They said, you're going to get, they pretty much, my doctor, my urologist said, your brothers can tell you more than I can, really. I'm just going to get the cancer out. And so, but yeah, they were a great help to me. And of course, my wife Sharon, of course, with the catheter and things of that nature. But then she taught me how to do it on my own. Wow. And I think we had it for 8 days, I think. See, my wife is a warrior. She's like, okay, let's go. She was in the Navy for 4 years. They didn't say that.
Okay.
So she's a country girl. She like, honey, let's go. I'm going to show you how to do it. And but yeah, she was there. But yeah, my brothers was a big, gigantic help, and my sister-in-law as well. Talking to my wife, a great help.
So Sharon, so when you guys were in the doctor's office and you heard, the doctor say, the news is not so great. It's the diagnosis is prostate cancer. How did that make you feel as the wife? Because I had all kind of feelings and emotions. How did you feel?
Definitely. When we heard, well, first of all, like Ray said, the doctor always joked with us. But this particular time when he was serious, we know he was getting a test for cancer and we was waiting for the results. Mm-hmm. And so we went to the doctor's office to get the result as a result from the testing. And normally he comes in joking each year when we get the test. But this particular time, we were like, okay, something is wrong. And when he sat down, he was quiet. he paused, and immediately it was almost like your fear, that thing that you fear the most.
Yes.
And he told us, you know, Ray, you have cancer. And so he began to talk to us about the size, it being progressive, but he used this word. What is this word that they use when they want to watch it for a period of time? What is that called?
It was like a surveillance.
Surveillance, observation.
Observation.
Active observation.
Yeah. And so they wanted to do the active observation with Ray. And they said, let's just watch it for a period of time. And so I told the doctor, watching it is not going to make it go away.
Mm-hmm.
It's here. And who wants to live with cancer in your body? Get it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, we can do it this way. We can do that way. He gave us different options. And, you know, Ray was like, let's just go ahead and have the surgery. So I had to go into this mode of really support mode, to be there, to listen. I immediately thought about Ray and not so much myself. So it was like, I'm taking notes. And what do I have to do? How do I, and then I'm thinking in my mind, how do I prepare? I got to tell the kids.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so I'm thinking about the kids. And then after the kids, I'm like, okay, we got to tell our congregation.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That. So did you guys tell your congregation right away?
No, we did not. We did not tell the congregation right away. He was diagnosed in July. And the surgery was in October. So we waited for a period of time because we wanted to talk to the family. We wanted to take it through stages. Our children need to adjust. You know, we have to be parents. And so we had to talk to our kids and talk to our in-laws and all of that. And so we had a family meeting. We sat down, we talked with them. We reassured them that the doctor said he was 99.9% sure that he can get it all out. So that was reassuring to the family. So we did that with the family, but then we waited a week
prior to the surgery,
right before the surgery, just to make sure, because it was during COVID.
Okay. Sure. Yes, exactly.
So it was. And I think the same for your husband. It was during COVID. And so they weren't even sure if I could be in the room or not. Mm-hmm. And so
we made a week prior to
so they told me at that particular time I could not be in the room, and then right before they said that I could go in, not in the surgery but into the hospital, in the waiting room, et cetera, and so forth. And so then we sat down, we talked with our leaders first. Yeah. And then we had a meeting with the congregation.
Oh my goodness!
On a Sunday. On a Sunday, and after we dismissed the service, we said we wanted to have a meeting with our congregation. We told our congregation, and we reassured them, just like we did with our children. Like, he does 99.9%. Some people was like, oh, and I said, no, guys, I need y'all to be praying for me. Yeah. And look, and I said, and we all got to be there for each other.
Yes.
And I said, but we're going to get through this together. And so and that was the key, getting it, doing it together. I chose not to go through it by myself. Yeah. And I chose to pull and gather together my community, and which was my family, which was my in-laws, which was everyone that I knew who gone through it.
Yes.
And the congregation, to be open, to be vulnerable, and to say, this is what it feels like. This is what we're going through. So, because we didn't want to appear being superhuman, because we're not. Yes. This is something that affects we're a couple. Yes. We're husband, we're wife. And so we went through this journey, together, and we had our ups and we had our downs. We had our good days. We had our bad days. We had our days where we were like, help Lord, but we got through it. Yeah. We got through it.
Just a reminder, to ensure that you stay up to date on the latest episodes from Prostate Cancer Real Talk, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button.
So one of the reasons why we thought it was so great to have you on as a couple and as a co-pastors of a church is to talk about the role that faith has in this journey. Frankly, being a faith-based couple, I really have a tough time understanding how people get through life in general without a spiritual foundation, because when things happen to you like this, you're really up against it. You just really face the difficulty. But if you have a faith to fall back on, all right, to help you through this. Can you talk a little bit about the role that faith had in helping you through this experience?
Yeah. And especially for me, I can speak. I know we did it together as a couple because we're both people of faith, but I know for myself as an individual, there were times where I felt like, why me? Alone in my alone time. And when the enemy start to attack my mind, like you're never going to be sexually active again. Yeah. You're not going to be able to please your wife. Your wife is going to leave you. I mean, all these things are going on in my head. My wife is a young woman. I'm a young man.
I love that. I'm a young woman.
Yeah, and not only that, she's a good looking young woman.
All right. Yes.
All these things are going on in my mind, and I'm fighting and wrestling with the enemy. But then I begin to think about when I would teach and preach to others, and I begin to tell them that you're stronger than the devil even if you're on your back with the word of God. And I begin to minister to myself, and I begin to speak the word of God to myself. And then I begin to talk back to that spirit that was trying to talk to my mind, and I begin to cast those thoughts down. And it was through my faith that I was able to overcome just that part, not just the physical part, but just dealing with the spiritual attacks from the enemy, that I would not going to be the same man, that I'm not going to be looked at the same way, and those different things. So my faith played a major role. And then I began to think about those times when I began to encourage other people. Then I began to tell other people, it's okay for other people to encourage you, but you need to learn how to encourage yourself. So I had to learn how to encourage myself during that time. Like, you're going to make it. You're going to be all right. You know, your wife is with you. She's not going to leave you. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
but you know, those things what I was having to fight with, those things what I had to wrestle with as not only a pastor, but as a believer. Yeah. And so I was able to overcome those things.
You know, I think with the post-surgery, you know, as a husband, I mean, he needed me to help him to the bathroom. I mean, there's things that as a man that you do in private that your wife never sees.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yes.
But when you go through this process, she has to see everything. Mm-hmm. She has to help you go to the bathroom. She has to help you get rid of, you know, whatever. Yeah. You know, when you go to the bathroom with the catheter, with the bag, with all of those things, you really are naked, and you got to deal with the shame till you are no longer ashamed. But you know, that's marriage. That's a covenant. Yes. You know, till death through sickness and in health. Right. And a lot of times richer and in poorer. And we live in a culture that really don't recognize those things. And really, that's the covenant. That's what we did. And that was in sickness and in health. And so I had to be there, and he had to be vulnerable. And that's when the enemy, that's when he tries to come. When you're most vulnerable, or when you're at your weakest point, when he tried to challenge your identity as a man, or me as a wife to my husband, all of those things.
One of the things that Ray and I talked about when we were having our man time. Okay. So Ray and I talked about alternatives and options and things of this nature. Some of the things that we can do to help ourselves and help the relationship sexually after that. So, Ray, are you prepared? Are you comfortable talking about some of the options that guys have?
Oh yeah, sure. And so, you know, we were, like we said, that first year and a half, really, we was having some challenges in the area of our sex life. And so we had tried different things. I think I had like a pump. I think one was a pump. And then also the other one was something else.
The injection, needle injection.
The injections, yeah. But it was just painful, you know? And so it was just a turn off for both of us. We just couldn't do it. And then, I don't know, I went to my doctor and I said, is there anything that you can do for us? The other things are just not working for us. Then he began to say, hey, look, have you considered a prosthesis? And we were like, no. My brothers brought it up to me. They said, no, we're not doing that. And these are my older brothers. I'm not doing that. They're old school. They're like, oh, no, man. I can't do it. And a couple of my brothers had just settled like, well, my sex life is over. And so I'm like, oh, no, my wife is young, y'all. Y'all don't understand me. This brother got to do something. And so it was hilarious because I was like, y'all just settle what y'all want to settle. I'm not settling. I got a young wife. And no, we were sexually active prior to that. And so when I talked to my doctor, he says, you know what, Ray? I believe that the VA, because I'm a vet, he said, I believe the Veterans Administration will take care of that surgery. And the surgery cost $54,000. And he said, let me send the paperwork to the VA and see if they would pay for it, if you want to do it. Then he said, okay, one thing I want you to know, do not Google a prosthesis or a penile implant surgery. Do not Google it. It will horrify you. So he said, don't Google it. So I did not do that. And so I did talk to my brothers about it. And they said, Ray, if you feel that what you got to do it. And they was all in on me doing it. And so the very next day, my doctor says, it's been approved. And they set the surgery, I think that was like in October. They set the surgery up like at the end of November, after Thanksgiving. It was after Thanksgiving, like the 2 days after Thanksgiving, I believe. And so I had the surgery. Would I encourage others to do it? If you're willing to go through the pain for about a week or two, yeah. But it was very painful.
You healed well.
But I healed well. And he said one of the reasons why I healed well, because I've been so active over the years. And you've been an athlete as well, El. You know about that. You know, even if you get in your 60s and 70s, if you've been an athlete over the years and you worked out, you're going to be okay. And so I did the surgery, and then I did not know I had forgot I scheduled to go to Ghana for 14 days. And the trip started like the second week in December. And like, oh my God, I kept the trip. But I still, after post-surgery, I still had the stitches, and the stitches would go out on its own. I only had the catheter in for 1 day, which was good. And I had to heal. So the healing took place within like a month, kind of about a month and a half healing. And they said when I went to Ghana, it was good because I did a lot of walking. Even though I was in a little pain and discomfort, they said that was good that you did a lot of walking as well. And so that has helped our sex life. Oh my God, what'd you say, 110%, sweetheart?
Awesome.
It's helped it.
It's helped it a lot. It really is, because now I don't have to be concerned about, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you prepared? So now it's
but prior to I love my husband, and even after this, I love him for even doing it. Because that says a lot. Some men are just like, I would say let their wife suffer. Because what does she do? Unless he get creative ways of satisfying her.
Right.
But you have to do something, but to not do
Can
anything.
I say this, sweetheart? I think one of the things that I did too is that I stopped thinking selfishly. I stopped thinking being selfish.
Yeah.
Because when she shared with me how she was feeling, then I was like, I got to do it. I got to do it. I just can't just do it for myself. I've got to do it for her as well.
Okay.
More for her than me, I feel. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it.
Amen.
And I talk to a lot of guys, and this whole sexual thing, it is the question. Okay.
Yeah.
That guys have about. I mean, they're more interested in that more so than how long are they going to live. Okay. Yeah. And some people actually make the decision to forego the prostate cancer surgery or prostate cancer treatment, whether it be radiation or whether it be surgery. They will forego that because they know that it's going to have an impact on their sex life. So what they're basically doing is trading sex for months or years on their life. And we just don't think that that's good. There are options
That's right.
to that. Honey, do you want to have anything?
Yeah. So I want to go back, Ray. So your cancer was aggressive. So radiation was not an option for you?
No, it wasn't. It was aggressive surgery. It was aggressive prostate cancer.
Take it out.
So that's what we decided to go ahead and just take it right out.
Okay. All right. Because radiation was an option for L, but he was like Sharon. He's like, I don't want this cancer in my body. I don't, I just want to get it out. I don't want to go through the radiation, because I think he would have to go like once a week or something.
Yeah, it was several times. It was several times a week, and it was for an extended long period of time. The other thing, and we've talked about this on some of our previous shows, the decision-making factor for me for radiation versus surgery was when my surgeon told me that once you have radiation, if you elect to go to a radiation route, then, even if the radiation is successful and your PSA levels go down and, it gets rid of the prostate cancer, if it comes back, all right, the prospect of surgery after radiation is minimal. It's pretty much out.
Yep.
Now, they can do what they call salvage surgery, which we had one of our doctors talk about that, but it's much more difficult. And I just did not want the prospect of it coming back and then not having the option for surgery down the road. So that was what was the decision maker in mind. Now, Ray, do you perhaps remember what your Gleason score was? Do you remember that?
I cannot remember. I cannot.
Okay. Because that's a score that kind of determines the severity of it. Mine was 7. And so that was why I decided to go that route.
So the other part, Ray, now we've had comments, from previous shows, like some of the listeners would say in Black men is probably because of a vitamin D deficiency. That was not Elle's case, but everyone have like their theory. So did your doctor tell you perhaps, was yours genetic or was it diet related or?
Yeah, they pretty much said mine was more genetic, more hereditary. Yep. Because he saw it through my father and then my 4 brothers and then me. And so he said the likelihood it was gonna hit you. But he said this is the first time out of that many siblings, men in the home or that was raised in the same home, that normally it would skip over at least 1 or 2 of them. But he said this is the first time he's seen where it was a father and all the sons.
Wow.
And so all of it was definitely hereditary. So that's why I'm encouraging my son. He turns 35 on Friday to start getting his prostate.
The doctor said 45 when he turns 45.
But I'm telling my son, since in our family, he need to get started right now. At least once a year, or he can start once, or bi-yearly or what have you. But he needs to go and get that because he's in our family.
We have one of our guests, Dr. Adam Murphy from Northwestern Medicine, Chicago. He is not only a urologist, but he's also a researcher. He's a Black doctor who is a urologist, but he also researches prostate cancer specifically among Black men.
I read it. Yeah, you sent me to his website. Yeah, I did read a lot about it.
Right. And he says for Black men, particularly people like you who have got a history of prostate cancer in their family, he says that number is 40. Okay. For us. So if you're a Black man, particularly if you have like Ray, a history of prostate cancer in your family, you need to start at 40. And then there's nothing wrong with your son at 35.
I think he may have even went more than 40 if there's a history.
If there's a history.
I think he may have even said 35 to 40.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So with that in mind, were you going for your prostate exams knowing that you had a family history of this? Was that a part of your decision factor in determining to go get tested regularly and early?
Absolutely. Being the baby brother, and my wife doesn't like this. My brothers always call me the baby. He's a baby. That's my baby brother. He is not a baby. But anyway.
You're
like that when we're around the family.
And when I'm around the family, I do act like a baby too. I take advantage of that.
Be 60 years
right.
old.
I take advantage of that. But yeah, so my brothers was like there. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Did you get tested?
Oh yeah. I would get tested yearly.
Yeah.
I would get tested yearly, and then it started getting tested bi-yearly.
Yeah.
Like once every 6 months, because it was in my family. And so my primary care doctor said and then he started noticing that I had, of course, an enlarged prostate.
Oh.
And then he noticed that. Then I started urinating.
Discomfort
in my body and urinating more. And so since I was going annually, they were able to get it quicker.
And and you listen, Ray always listens to his body. And I think a lot of men, especially Black men, tend not to go to the doctor and they ignore it. I have 2 cousins that passed away from prostate cancer around the same. Yes. And so at prostate cancer and stage 4, they didn't do anything. Just like you were saying, Elle, they were thinking about manhood. And I remember the doctor said to me, he said, would you rather have your husband or would you rather have sex just for a season? And I said, of course, I would rather have my husband. We can fix that later on. I want him here, and so I think that is so important that we prioritize getting tested and getting checked.
Yep.
The Bible says with long life, I will satisfy you. We got to do our due diligence when it comes to taking care of ourselves.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video to keep seeing more content like this from us. It will also benefit YouTube's algorithm, helping to introduce our content to others who may need it most.
From a caretaker's perspective, Sharon, I know that, my wife, and one of the reasons why we got married is because I noticed how protective she was of me. And from your perspective, what are some of the things that you would share with other women, okay, who their husband or their significant other, they may or may not have prostate cancer, okay? But what would you share with the women? Because a lot of times the women will make us go to the doctor, make us do things that we don't want to do, particularly in the Black community and whatnot. So talk to the spouses and the significant others about their active role in getting their men to take care of this situation. What would you say to them?
When my husband was going through what he was going through, he was telling me, I want you to be the good nurse. I don't want you to be the bad nurse. The bad nurse was the one that, I know you don't feel like getting up. I know you don't feel like eating. I know you don't feel like, none of that matters. We're going to do exactly what the doctor says so we can get the result that we desire. And that is for you to be well. So I would encourage every woman that, even though your significant other or your spouse may feel, honey, I feel this way, or honey, I feel that way. Now, we're going to go based on what the doctor says, what he prescribes. And I know you may not feel this way, but sometimes you got to push them. If you got to schedule the appointment for them,
yes,
you push them because you love them, because you care for them, because you want them there. And even though I had to make Ray get up and do the walks because he didn't want to do the walks, but get in the car, I'll drive, just get in the car, I'll help you in the car. So sometimes you need that cheerleader or that coach to get behind you and just say, look, you can do it, because we know we're not going to be here forever. Right. This is where we want to be. And in order to be here, we got to do this together. And so sometimes you got to get some tough love and say, get up, eat. There was times when I fed him his food because I wanted to make sure that he ate. And so sometimes you need to give that tough love. And even when your loved one doesn't want to be bothered, no, I'm doing it because I love you. In the end, he thanked me for it. Absolutely. And we joked about it, afterwards, but he was like, honey, you were so mean, you were so tough, but he got well, and he got well so much faster.
Hey guys, this is Elle. Did you know that during the treatment of prostate cancer, our genes may be our most powerful tool? That's why the Promise Registry was formed. And that's why I joined. To learn more, go to prostatecancerpromise.org. That's prostatecancerpromise.org.
Ray and I talk, because a lot of times here's what I find that women don't do. We don't talk about sex. No, it's just men that be concerned about sex, and a lot of times women, because the culture is like it's like they make it as if it's inappropriate for a woman to say, hey, it's a concern for me. And it's okay to say that, because your husband don't know how to meet your need if you don't tell him. You have to share with them how you feel. And I think that is so important. And women, be concerned about your sex life. It is not the same as it is prior to prostate cancer. Right. It is your sex life. It is not the same. Right. But I'm thankful. You got to learn how to be thankful for what you have and who you have and who you can still have it with. Yeah. And, and we make the best of it, and it's great.
Awesome.
That's what I call a grand finale right there. So
Ray and Sharon got the groove back.
Shay calls it listening to Marvin Gaye.
That's right.
So we talked about the importance of getting checkups, which is particular if you have a history of prostate cancer in your family. We talked a little bit about the symptoms, the urgency, getting up at night, other things. And we do have other shows where we go into that in more depth. Family history is also important for people to remember. If you do have particularly a brother, a father, uncle, somebody close to the family that, we want you to look out for that. And for Black men, we're talking about 40-ish, if not sooner, when you should start getting checked out. And then, the spousal support and the support of the significant others in your family was so important. So all of these things go into, great information that we're providing people. So as we head toward our conclusion, would you share with us your final thoughts on the general topic of prostate cancer, how faith interplays with that, and also just to wrap up your story, what are your final thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, first of all, we're definitely honored to be on the podcast with you and Shay. And what I would share is just getting that. I think all African-American men should be getting their checkups at least annually, even if it's not a history in your family, because we want to be around for a long time. And, I have to think about it. You can't be thinking just about yourself. You got to think about your children, your grandchildren. You got to think about your spouse. You got to think about all the people that love you. And so I would encourage them to please get your prostate checked annually. And another thing is for me is that once they get those your prostate checked annually, it is important that you talk and share. I think so many times men do not want to open up, but I think we've got to come to a point now that we're sharing and we're talking, even not just for ourselves, but to help somebody else. And that's why I'm doing an annual prostate cancer awareness. I did a 3K walk in September of last year, and we had well over 200 people there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was just a wonderful time. Had a lot of sponsors in our city. The word got out, and there were people that supported it with their finances and got involved. So we're going to do that annually. And so that's my thing now. Where I'm at now is to encourage men and to get the word out, to get their checkups and to get their annual checkups.
Okay. Sharon, you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
That sharing and getting past the shame or whatever the taboo within the African-American culture, and get to a place where you're making a difference and you're saving lives. Mm-hmm. And when you share your story and be vulnerable, you're not just saving your own lives, but you're saving the life of others.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you guys coming on this show. And you guys are an amazing couple. And we wanted the listeners to they hear from Elle and I like every week. So now you get to hear from another amazing couple that survived and is striving through the journey of prostate cancer. Survivors, all surviving.
That's right.
God bless you guys. And I thank you guys so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless you guys.
All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
To find out more information on the guest you just heard or previous guests and a list of Prostate Cancer Real Talk episodes, visit our website, prostatecancerrealtalk.com. And if you have a question, comment, or if you would like to share your story, send Elle and Shay an email, ellandshay@prostatecancerrealtalk.com. That's L-E-L and Shay, S-H-A-Y, @prostatecancerrealtalk.com.